5 people, non-combat people over there for every combat person. We had an infrastructure, Las Vegas of material. We had PXs. We had everything we wanted. They sent cars over there. A lot of this stuff was, sold on the black market in the end by master sergeants making a buck on the side. There was a lot of shit going on, crime stuff, and the Vietnamese were benefiting from it. They loved the Americans, of course. They loved us. It's the same thing, Afghanistan, Iran. It goes on and on and on. It's like we create these super bureaucracies around events. So what happened in the war on drugs is the same thing. And then I think that Pacino's a hero because, in a way, he sees it all. He sees it's all bullshit. And he calls it out. And I think a lot of people just picked up on it. They knew the war on drugs was a lie.
Yeah, well, most people today at least have a sense that it's not going well. I mean, back then they thought.
How many countries have we pissed off? How many countries have we told, "Hey, you got to do it this way. We're coming down there. We're going to bust you."
Speaking of Geraldo, did you ever see the footage where Geraldo was in Afghanistan and he's walking through the poppy fields that are being protected by U.S. troops?
Yeah, sure.
And it's on Fox News, so he's trying to do this weird propaganda job of explaining why, in order to get these poppy farmers to give us information about the Taliban, we have to somehow or another protect their crops. So you've got American soldiers.
It's a crazy story.
Well, then you find out that spectacular growth of heroin.
Yeah.
Like heroin sales and heroin use worldwide went up in an amazing manner.
Yeah. This was going on, by the way, in the 1980s when we were supporting the Mujahideen against the Russians.
Yeah.
That's when it started. They were fighting for the poppy fields.
Yeah.
We're talking about billions of dollars here.
Billions. Yeah, and it's not like
some of these drug dealers, we don't even know their names, but they're well known in the Pakistani, Afghani world.
Yeah.
Some of them are unbelievably rich.
But it's so transparent. The poppy fields being guarded by U.S. troops, and
that's a new one.
And them talking about it openly on Fox News, and well, don't worry, folks. This is why they have to do this. Like it's one of the weirdest parts of the war.
Yeah, as was Dan Rather doing his stand-up at the beginning of the war about how we're fighting the awful Russians. They got us going on that. You didn't see that clip.
When was that?
Early in the war.
Yeah.
He brought the flag to Afghanistan, making heroes out of them. Back then, the guys we supported, that we gave the most money was to Hekmatyar, who's a drug dealer. We gave him the most amount of aid. Hekmatyar, he's like the killer warlord.
It's so strange. It's so strange how history repeats itself in different forms, just over and over and over again.
In Vietnam, in Laos, there was a whole poppy growth.
Yeah.
And the shipping, there was CIA shipping out. Air America, remember that movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There was had a guy on who was in denial of this, and I showed him the CIA drug plane that crashed in Mexico with several tons of cocaine in it just a few years ago. I'm like, this is a plane that had been to Guantanamo Bay multiple times. Like, this is still going on. All that shit that happened with Barry Seals and...
Yeah, you're talking about Iran-Contra.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's still going on.
That's an ugly story.
Yes.
Very ugly. Yeah, the Barry Seal movie was okay.
Oh, the Tom Cruise.
They got a piece of it.
Yeah.
But it was uglier than that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were basically... Reagan was selling arms to Iran, taking the cash and splitting it with the Contras.
Yeah.
The Contras were one of the most brutal groups, terrorist groups in Nicaragua. They were killing civilians, blowing up farms, scaring people, and we supported them. We supported a lot of bad guys everywhere in the world.
You have a very comprehensive